Welcome to the Explainer. So today we're going to talk about antimatter, but, probably not in the way you're thinking. Let's just forget physics and sci-fi for a second. We're about to dive into a source that totally redefines antimatter as a key to understanding consciousness itself.
Okay, so what is this antimatter world? I mean, when you hear that term, your mind probably jumps to particles, massive collisions, maybe a Star Trek episode, right? But the text we're digging into today, it just throws all of that out the window. It gives us a definition that has absolutely nothing to do with the science lab and everything to do with what's going on inside our own heads.
And here's where it gets really different. On one side, you've got the scientific view we're all familiar with. Antimatter is physical stuff, made of antiparticles. But on the other side, our source proposes something completely different. In this spiritual view, antimatter is consciousness. It's something with no mass, no weight, something you can't measure. And get this, it's seen as the very source of the material world.
Right, so if this antimatter isn't physical, then what is it? Let's try and unpack what a world actually made of thought would even look like. And this is where our normal, everyday definitions of what's real start to get, well, pretty blurry.
The core idea is basically this. Antimatter, in the spiritual sense, isn't something you can hold or put in a jar. Nope. It's the invisible, weightless essence of existence itself. It's the kind of stuff that can only be perceived, only be experienced directly by our own consciousness. And this isn't just some vague, airy-fairy concept. The source gets really specific about it. Think about the laws of nature, or something like wisdom. They absolutely exist. They shape our world, but they aren't physical objects. Or let's get even more personal. Think about things like our soul, our spirit, even entire realms we experience, like our dreams, or these big ideas of heaven and the underworld. According to this view, all of these, they're all forms of antimatter. If you really take this definition on board, it forces this huge philosophical shift. It completely turns our ideas of what's real versus what's just imaginary totally on their head. And the source puts it so bluntly with this really powerful paradox. I mean, this is a direct challenge to how we see everything, suggesting our entire understanding of reality might be completely upside down. It really makes you wonder, what if the things we think are so solid and real are actually less fundamental than the things we just dismiss as being in our heads? So if we can't touch it, what's the new benchmark for reality? Well, it's not whether you can touch it, it's whether you can feel it. The whole argument is that any experience that creates a genuine feeling, the pure joy from a great daydream or that heart-pounding terror from a nightmare, is fundamentally real because its effect on your consciousness is absolutely 100% real. Okay. So if thoughts and feelings are the actual building blocks of reality, how do you get from just a single, fleeting thought to an entire universe? Well, the source actually lays out a pretty fascinating mechanism for how these worlds get built. It all starts with one person. A single mind imagines a world, and it's kind of like a soap bubble. It's there for a moment, it's beautiful, but it's super fragile and temporary. But what happens when lots of people imagine the exact same thing? Well, their conscious energy starts to resonate, to vibrate on the same frequency, and they combine to create something stable and lasting. And this, the source argues, is how we get these huge, shared realities, like our collective ideas of heaven or hell.
But that raises another question. What makes one reality last longer than another? Why does a dream just fade away when you wake up, but a mountain can stick around for millions of years? According to this text, it all comes down to one single creative force: energy.
Take a look at this idea of a hierarchy of existence. A bubble of foam. It has almost no energy, so poof, it's gone in an instant. An apple has more, so it lasts for a few days or weeks. A stone has way more energy locked inside it, so it can last for ages. But what has the most energy? What's the most enduring substance of all? Well, in this worldview, it's consciousness itself.
So we start to see this really fascinating inverse relationship. Check this out. The less energy something has, the more solid and tangible it seems, but the shorter it lasts. On the flip side, the more energy something has, the more formless and intangible it becomes, and the longer it sticks around. This is the absolute key to understanding why consciousness is seen as the ultimate power in this framework.
And that brings us to the final conclusion, and it's a big one. In this worldview, consciousness isn't just something that happens in the material world, like a side effect. No, it is the fundamental, formless energy that comes before the material world, and it's what shapes everything we see and everything we don't.
And that leaves us with one last question that kind of flips this whole abstract idea right back on us. If our consciousness really is this powerful, creative force, if what we focus on and what we feel actually builds reality, then it's worth asking, what world are you creating right now?